living, I like to say that a lot of it is rules or guidance on managing our students' behaviors. When you come to college, most states say, "Hey, you're 18, you're grown," but you're not. You're not. When you come to college, you have rules that you have to adhere to, and we have rules on campus, and we have rules in residential life and housing. So you can't just wild out and think there are no consequences, because there are. And so there's a list of what to bring, not to bring here in this book. And we also have a list of fines that inevitably these students receive these fines every year. Housing violations, those violations that can cause you to lose your housing, they are listed here as well. So parents, if you would, you and your student go over this book together. My plan is to do another presentation later on in the summer, so I can just focus on that guide and what is expected to live on campus. Dining services. Um, the dining plan is mandatory. Every year I get an email about, can I cancel it? No, you can't, because it's mandatory. And it's like insurance. You might feel you need it. You might not need it every day, but one day you're gonna need it. One day you're gonna need it. And the residence hall is not designed for you to come and cook like you're at the house. That's not what it's designed for. And the residence hall and living on campus and being in college is temporary. It's just a temporary time in your life. And so you can't bring everything from the house to come and live in the residence hall. And you can't treat it like it's your house, because it's not designed that way. And so the meal plan is unlimited. You get 3 meals a day, and it's there. It's there for you, not for you to bring all your appliances to the residence hall, because again, it's not designed to do that. What to bring? All the information you may want to know, or the majority of the information that you want to know about what you can and cannot bring. Some residence halls cannot have a refrigerator and a microwave. You have a refrigerator, but you may not be able to have a microwave. Well, this lists, which residence halls are those. And then also, if you can't have the microwave in that particular residence hall, we will provide the microwave for you. Residence hall emergency guidelines. Grad Guard, let me talk to you briefly about Grad Guard. All students should have rental insurance. Although we don't make it mandatory, you really should have rental insurance, because guess what? Personal items get damaged. Personal items are stolen, and the university does not replace your personal items. They do not. And so it's really important that you guys consider purchasing renter's insurance. It's really inexpensive. It's maybe like $10 to $15 per month, and it really depends on your coverage. And so this will be part of the application process. You or your student will see it, and so you need to consider purchasing it. This section right here is our housing FAQs. There are additional questions that people may have about housing. Can I bring my pet? No, you can't. Pet, snake, definitely not. Your turtle, fish, your cute little puppy, can't bring it. Can't bring it, because the rooms are only so big. Now, if you have an accommodation that needs to be met and you have an ESA, then you need to submit that information to the Office of Disability Services, and that information is here. And I thought the link was highlighted here, but we'll make sure that gets highlighted. But the Office of Disability Services is who you submit your form to if you have a disability that needs to be met. Now, a lot of people say, well, I don't want to be in a room with anybody else. I want to be in a room alone because of my disability. Well, that's the office you need to contact. So when you apply for housing, choose your room. If you have a disability, let that office know. And then if we need to switch you to a single room because of an accommodation, we will. But you have to have an assignment in order for us to do that. Residence hall rates. Can't talk this morning. So this is really important for parents to look over, because there's a lot of unknown right now with FAFSA having the issues And you may or may not have your award letters as of today, so that you are aware of what funding your student qualifies for, or the amount of funding that your student will qualify for. But here are the rates for the traditional halls. They're $18.95 per semester. The meal plan is $21.01 per semester. Okay. And then the suite style, that's going to be Foster and Night, and that's $27.80 per semester. Council hall will be changed to single rooms for females, and that'll be $18.95 times 2. So the single rooms are more expensive. So this is where you find the rates for residential life and housing. Move-in day will be August 10 and 11. The porch lighting ceremony will be that Saturday, the 10th. We'll update this information later. So just be mindful that this area is subject to change and subject to updates. And so it'll be August 10 and 11 and that's, we have to fix that. That's not correct. But it'll be the 10th and the 11th for our new students, okay? Xfinity is we don't have cable anymore, so we stream. Xfinity is our provider where students can stream their programs. And so you log in and set this up once you move in on campus. If you have questions about your students' bills and setting up payments, this is the area, this is the office that you talk to. When it comes to your tuition, what is the tuition cost? This information is here. What are the mandatory fees? The information is here. And so that's what student account talks about, or that's what they deal with. Now, when it comes to questions about your FAFSA and your scholarships, it's financial aid. That's who you talk to and have a conversation about regarding your aid, Pell Grant, scholarships. That's financial aid. And then this tile is for admissions, where to go for help. Many people call our campus and they do not call the right office. They just call any office. You need to know who you're calling. You need to know their number so you can get to the right office. And so and I'm going to show you some other information, but if you forget, here, this tile right here is where to go for help. This is a list of offices on campus and their telephone number. Okay. And so that's a little bit about these tiles and prospective students. Also, we've had a question about when, parents may want to mail students a package. So after you've chosen your residence hall, you can come back to our page and under the drop down, click on residence hall communities. And so say, for instance, your student ends up living in Thig Pen Hall. Well, here's a little information about Thig Pen Hall, but the mailing address is on each one of these pages. So once you know where your student is going to land, you can just look on one of these pages to get to find out what the address is. All right, so I am going to take you to our application process. Ms. Lee, am I good to go?
You are. We have 35 minutes left in today's presentation.
All right. So right here on the new student information page, number 5, it says go to My AAMU. And when you go to My AAMU, it's going to give you this direction. Go to My AAMU. Under the student tab, look for the housing application link. So I'm getting ready to walk you through how do you find the application link. So if a student is not having issues with their SSO, this is where you come to You know, you click on this tile, and this is how you log into your SSO. So if you can log into your SSO, you're good. Now, if you try to access the housing link today, you're not going to be able to access it. If you can't log into your SSO at all and you're having issues, this is the help desk information. They're open 24/7. This is their telephone number right here. Call it. They will help you, okay? But other than that, if you're not having any issues with your SSO, click on this tile. It's going to take me, or take you to this area right here. Everyone's area looks like this. And you're going to click on your self-service banner. Under your self-service banner, there's a lot of information about your classes, everything. Registrar's office, how to pay a bill, everything is under the student self-service banner. Parents, you don't have access to this. It's your student that has access to it. The student would have to give you access to this area in order for a parent to access. And there's ways you can do it. But under the student tab, look for the housing application link. This is where you're going to find the link to our application. Okay, try to move fast. All right, this area right here is pretty simple. There's one particular area people, kind of get hung up on. This will probably be updated a little bit before, by the time you apply, but this is kind of how the area looks. You click on Student SSO Login and click on Fall Housing Application. Your first goal when applying for housing in general is to take care of your fall housing first. Don't worry about the summer. If you decide you want to come up here for the summer, that's fine, but your first preference always, or your first job to do, is always apply for fall housing. Every year, no matter where you end up, fall housing is more important than anything. Fall housing is for the academic year. Our academic year is fall and spring. That's the academic year. Now, sometimes, I won't say sometimes, but the summer term is included in that as it relates to FAFSA and any funding. But for your housing, the academic year is fall and spring. And so once you choose a room, it is for that academic year. So when you home for Christmas, I just say it like that. When you go home for Christmas and then you come back, you're going to come back to the same room you had in the fall. Your assignment, what happens to your assignment, we roll it over. So that's basically what happens. When you get to this tile, read it. Mine has a message. It's basically telling me that I haven't finished my application and that I have not paid. All right. This says a deposit, but we don't pay deposits on the application, so we have to fix that. So if you would click on this tile right here. And when you come to this section, they all look like this at first. This little dot right here, this maroon dot. But because I've started this process, mine, I have these check marks because I've finished these areas. And then I've got some areas that I do need to finish. One thing about this system is once you start, you can stop and you can always come back to complete your application. All right, so the first part is your personal information. It's pretty simple. Just, fill out this information. Make sure you use emergency contact. It will not let you proceed unless all of this information is completed. You save it, you go on to the next. Now the housing agreement is really important, and it's probably a good idea for parents to read over this housing agreement, because what you're doing is you need to read it, you need to agree to the terms of your housing contract. It's a contract. It says that you're going to use this facility to live, study, and congregate with your colleagues. You're not going to use it as a way to conduct business. It's not for you to come to school and do nails out of your room, hair, lashes, massages, pedicures, none of that, weaves, braiding. That is not allowed. And when I find out, I'm going to get my booth rent. I'm going to get it because guess what? There's a hefty fine for that. It's $500. And if you keep violating it, you can lose your housing. And housing is a luxury item on campus, and you don't want to lose it, right? And so this agreement talks about that. Your residence hall is for you to live. And if you, for some reason, lose your housing for doing something, then we don't owe you any money. No refunds. None. Now, what we will do is if you decide not to come and you cancel your housing within the time period necessary, you can either, one, we just take the fees off your account, or your housing is prorated. And so it's really important to adhere to any emails that we send out or adhere to the refund schedule under the Bursars page or the comptroller's page. So you sign this and then you move on to the next section. The next section is roommate matching questionnaire. This is really for the folks who don't have an idea of who they want their roommate to be. So you fill out this questionnaire. If you look closely, this is going to be your screen name right here. This screen name, you need to remember it, is because this is how someone can search or find you. So if you don't know who you want your roommate to be, you fill this out. And then you can, look for someone who's like you. Like, I like to stay up late. Miss Lee likes to go to bed early. We might not get along in the room because I want to be up late and she want to be asleep. And so those are things that causes people to fall out. Something, and it's not simple, but something like that is what causes people to fall out. So if you know you got a best friend and y'all want to come room with each other, but your best friend goes to sleep early and you stay up late, y'all might not want to room with each other. But anyway, I don't have a lot of time. So fill out this questionnaire and make sure at the end that you say, yes, you want your screen name displayed. Because one, you may not have a person in mind to be your roommate. Or two, you do have a person in mind to be your roommate. So you need to say yes to this so individuals can search for you. And so remember, this is your screen name up here. Roommate selection. So you can do several things here. You can either search for your room, you can search for the person that you want to be your roommate, or you can search for someone that you think will work out being your roommate. This stuff is not going to populate unless people are in the system. And so everyone has to be in this portal to be able to look for each other and find each other in this system. That's how it works. Once you've done those things and searched for someone, this one is suggested roommates. Well, there are no other people in the system, so you're not going to see a name. But you may want to search by your friend's name, and so you put their screen name up here, and you put their student ID number here, and then you can search for them. When you find your friend, you have to request that they be your roommate. And they have to do the same for you in order for you guys to be roommates with each other. Once their approvals come through, and they'll come through while you're in it, it's pretty quick. Once you start searching for a room, you'll notice that you and your roommate, you'll see your roommate's name with you. So what I'm saying is when you search for a room and choose a bed, wherever you go, your roommate goes with you, if you guys have approved each other in your roommate group. They call them roommate groups. So wherever you go, your roommate goes. When you choose your room, and I'm going to go to this section next. Go back. I think I need to do something. When you choose your room, I think I chose a room and I got it in my shopping cart. Let me see. Take it out of my shopping cart. I think I put it in my shop. Let me see. What am I doing? I need to take it out of my shopping cart. I'm gonna start over. Let's see. But when you get ready to choose your room, and I may or may not be able to show it to you. So when you get to this point right here, freshman room selection, this is the part I haven't finished. When you select your room, your roommate will show up. When you select that bed, your roommate will show up with you. So in your roommate group, only one person needs to be responsible for selecting a room. Both of you don't need to do it. Because what you have to understand is not only you're in the system trying to select a room, there are hundreds of other people in the system trying to select a room. So you need to decide amongst yourselves who's going to select the room. Once the room is selected, your roommate who's selecting the room can go ahead and pay. You, on the other hand, will get a message telling you, okay, this room has been, I'm paraphrasing, this room has been selected for you, and that you need to log back into the portal and pay your housing application fee. Once you pay, so in this particular application, you're going to choose your room first, then pay. And so this is how this process works. I wasn't able to go through this, but we do have a recording, and once the recording posts, we'll send it out so you guys can watch how I go through what it looks like to choose a room, how the tiles look, more in detail. But I'm not able to do it here because we're still in our test mode, and so I apologize for that. Ms. Lee, I am done with this section, and so if we have any questions.
There have been multiple questions in the chat about the steps again. So since it's 11:37, can you do that one more time? Because there are multiple questions about how to select a roommate again and completing the application.
Okay. So when you come, I wish I should have cleared this out. Okay, so this is your fall application. This is the application that you need to complete. When you come here, these are pretty simple. They're you complete your personal information, you sign the housing agreement. If you're 18 years old, you will have access to the housing agreement and sign for it. If you're not 18, the system knows how old you are. And so it'll have a little section for your parent to complete it. It'll automatically pop up. And your parent will have to sign the housing agreement for you. All of this works pretty quickly. Okay, it's a message that's sent, parent accepts it, and then you come back to this area. Your next area is your roommate matching. And so you need to, if you don't know, who you have to fill this out regardless. But this area helps you find a roommate if you don't have someone in mind. But what you have to understand is a lot of people have to be in this system for a list to generate for you to find a roommate. So you may have to take a little time to find a roommate. So don't choose a room if you're really focused on trying to search for a roommate. Don't choose a room yet and pay for it. You can choose a room and you can hold it, but you can't pay for it. If you pay for it, that room is yours. We don't go back and change the room because you made a mistake or things like that. So you may want to kind of just take a little
Ms.
time
Miller,
with this
when
one.
you say pay for it, what do you mean? What does it mean to pay for a room?
Pay your application fee. That's what I mean by that, is pay your application fee.
So once someone selects a room and they pay their application fee, then that room is confirmed for them.
It is confirmed. And it's final. It's confirmed and final. Okay. But if you're in a flux where you really want to take your time to find a roommate, then don't complete these other sections. Wait till the system generates some more people in it, and then then you can look and try to find your roommate. It's not going to take that long. It may take within the hour. You may be able to search and find someone that has your similar sleep patterns, similar study patterns, or whatever these questions are asking you. And so once you do that, make sure you select yes so they can find you. Whoever's looking for you needs to be able to find you. And so you have to say yes to this section right here. So when we go to this next section, you can do one of three things. You can look for someone that has your similar interests, or you're looking for the person you already know you want to room with. And so if it'll either suggest roommates for you, or you can search for a roommate by lifestyle questions, or you can search for your roommate by the ID and screen name. So if I'm interested in looking for Miss Lee, I have to know her screen name. So you guys are going to have to communicate with each other and tell each other y'all screen name. And then you need to know your friend's A number. And so then you search for them. And so that's how you find them. And then you have to send your approval. And the system will move along, okay? And it'll show you, okay, now you got to send your friend an email or a message to say, hey, I want to be, I'm paraphrasing, I want to be your roommate. I want to be your roommate. Can you approve it? Same message is going to go to you, so you can approve them. Once that happens, then you can go to the roommate selection. The room selection process. And so I apologize that I can't show it to you on this webinar because we have people working in the background trying to make sure everything is updated and working for you when it opens up on Tuesday. But you'll go to the freshman room search, and those rooms are those residence halls that are available at the time you hit the system. And I say it like that. Those rooms that are available at the time you hit the system will show up. So hypothetically, if our housing opens at 9 o'clock and we have 1,900 rooms available, those people who hit the system at 9 o'clock are going to probably see 1,900 rooms, or the number of rooms that start, once people start choosing rooms, that number goes down. But if you wait to hit the system at 10 o'clock, there are not going to be 1,900 beds. I said rooms, but beds available. It may be 1,000 beds available. I don't know. It depends on how many people hit the system and how many people are choosing beds, because they go fast. And so you have to be in here choosing your room and taking care of your business. And so whatever is available at the time you hit the system is what residence halls you will see available to you. And they depend on your gender. Females will see the female residence halls. Males will see the male residence halls for them, okay? Good. I hope we're good.
No, so there are some, we always have those unique questions about, and so if you can give some guidance. I think some people may have a residence hall preference, but their roommate or person that they know that they want to be share a room with may not have done their part. Like they may not have been logged in. So can you give some guidance on how someone should seek and make a decision about their residence hall and their roommate?
Well, everybody has to be in the system. If Miss Lee is not in the system and she hasn't started her process, I can't choose her as my roommate. Although the system on the back end knows that we have these incoming freshmen and that they're coming, but you have to access the system in order to activate, your profile, and for the system to know that you are trying to apply for housing. Even though we have all these names, everybody's not going to apply for housing. And so you have to be in the system, your friend has to be in this system in order for you guys to approve each other as roommates and to complete this process. And so you have to decide if you're going to wait for your friend. And waiting for your friend, you might not get a bed. Those are the tough decisions that you have to make. I wouldn't hold up. I'd try and get me a bed. Then your friend can get a bed on another hall in the same building. And a lot of people come to school together and room together and they fall out. So, but so the next, so the I because I'm running out of time. So the next area is dedicated to our meal plan. And so here we just want you to acknowledge that you're going to receive a meal plan. It's mandatory. So basically that's all this area is that you acknowledge that you will have a meal plan added to your account, and we will add that meal plan to all the students' accounts. You don't have to do anything. And then the next is the application fee. Once you pay this application fee, it's a wrap. Non-refundable. You can't go back and change your room. You know, you can change your room, but once you pay for it, you can't go back and change your room. So the neat thing about this application process is you can log out, log back in, and finish your process, and it'll start where you stopped, right? But once you make a decision to be in a room and then you pay your application fee, that's your room. It's finalized. All right. And so I want to try to have some time to answer some questions. So am I done?
Yes, can you, so there are questions about floor plans, or viewing rooms. And then thirdly, if you will review the tiles that you reviewed at the beginning, because we have a lot of people asking for how to access those resources and where are they?
Okay. So this is what I would suggest about, wanting to look at the rooms. I would go to YouTube. Several students have done a great job at talking about the residence halls. This young lady right here is giving freshman students advice about move-in day, classes, housing, dining, all of that. But there are some other students that will show you their room. And they usually will tell you, I stay in Terry Hall, I'm in Hopkins Hall, I'm in Knight, I'm wherever. And so I would go here to look at how they've decorated the room or how even the rooms are set up. And so this would be a good, thing for you guys to do your research on. Like I said, a lot of students have posted a lot of videos about move-in day, their room, how they decorated it, and what the room looks like and what the residence halls look like. Okay. I am going to go back to our website. This is the main website. We're celebrating 150 years next year. But the main website link is right up here. And we are found housing, and really all of student affairs is found under campus life. And under campus life, you will see a drop down for housing. Housing will have some additional drop downs. But I want you to go to prospective students. And these tiles here are pretty much the same thing located in the drop down. There's some things that are not here, but it's the majority of what's in the drop down. Here, the new student information is an overview of what residence halls our students will be staying in for the 24-25 academic year. Each academic year is the same. So what you shouldn't say is, well, they did that last year, but we might not do it next year. It changes because it changes based on our student needs. The academic year will change, especially in housing, based on our student needs. We're able to pivot and change and do some things that we may not have been able to do the previous year, but now we can do it in the new academic year, okay? So that's what that means when I say that. So this is the general information about the residence halls. This is when our application will open. The application opens May 14th. If you can log into your SSO with no issues, but then you go to our housing link and you can't access it, it's because it's not open. That's why you can't access it. So on May the 14th at 9:00 a.m. Central Standard Time, our application process will open. We will be able to allow about 1,000 students to access our application. But once we reach that number, you'll receive a message that says, in general, come back later to complete your application. Okay, we're not like Amazon and everybody and their mama can get on the website at Amazon. They don't crash because they are expecting millions of people to access their website. That's how their website is designed. But for us, we are limited, and so hopefully you won't experience anything moving slow, but you will get a message that says come back later. And then here are the criteria for housing. You have to be admitted into the university first and foremost. The second criteria, we're waiving this criteria this year because of the issues with FAFSA. So if your FAFSA has not processed or not posted or whatever the information is that you're seeking from it, this is not, and then you haven't received it, this is not going to stop you from accessing our application. What will hold you up is if you have not paid your enrollment fee. And your enrollment fee needs to be paid before you apply for housing. Then when you get into the application process, it's going to be $150 application fee, which is non-refundable. It makes you eligible to apply and hold your spot. You have to pay that fee. And then here, number 5 takes you to where you need to go to access your housing application. This tile right here is a guide to campus living. Parents, you need to go over this guide with your student. This guide helps us manage student behaviors, but it also tells you that, hey, we have washers and dryers, they're free. So your laundry services are free. But what I found is that students don't know how to wash their clothes. And so oftentimes the washer and dryers have to be serviced more often. And so, we have internet services. So those are a couple of amenities that we have in the residence hall. Foster and Knight has a cafeteria in that residence hall. We have a Chick-fil-A on campus. We have a Subway. We have a Pod over in Knight. And so information about the residence hall, who manages it, but also fines that are given to students when they are not following our guidelines are here as well. And so parents, you need to read this with your student. The residence hall director and the RAs do room checks. I know when someone hasn't read this guide because I'll get a complaint. Well, they just walking up in my room. I don't know why they're in my room. Well, they're in your room because that's our process and that's what we do. And we go in and we make sure your room is clean. And if it's not, you'll get a chance to clean it or you'll get a fine. You got to keep your room clean. Yes, we do have rules here on campus. Dining services, information about dining services. If you have a special diet, contact them. They can help you with your dietary needs. Again, the residence hall is not designed for you to bring your GoDaddy. What is the thing called? Just Fry Daddy. Yeah, Fry Daddy. You can't fry chicken in a residence hall. You're gonna burn it up. But you can
Ms.
bring
Miller?
Yes, ma'am.
There's a student who's a commuter student and wants to know how do they handle their meal plan as a commuter student.
You'll need to go to the cashier's office and purchase your commuter plan there. Okay.
So we're running out of time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to lump a couple questions together.
Okay.
So there are people who want to know about selecting multiple suite mates. If you'll give some guidance on how to select multiple suite mates.
It's the same. You send everyone will need to approve each other as roommates. I would suggest you doing them by 2s and not by 4s. But it's up to you on how you want to do that. But if you're going into a suite and you guys all have decided you want to be roommates, then you can do that. But what normally happens is, since everybody is in the system at the same time, what's going to happen is you're going to get to a suite and it's going to be one bed that's already taken. And you're not going to be able to put all 4 people in that suite. And it may be hard for you to find a suite. So if you break up your room groups in 2s, you'll probably be more successful that way.
So the next question is, and there are a lot of questions we were fielding in the Q&A. Can you just go ahead and talk about special groups again? How are
Yeah,
special groups handled?
yes. So I didn't get a chance to talk about the special groups. So one thing about the special groups is that, say for instance, you're in athletics. My recommendation is that you follow the directions of residential life and housing as it relates to applying for housing. Don't say, "Well, my coach has me a room." What your coach has done is he has set aside rooms for his players because he or she wants their players to live together. And so we do that on the side, but you still have to apply for housing and choose a room. And we will take care of all of that on the back end. But the special groups are normally like athletics, band is a special group. Band is usually put together. They usually are housed together, and they're usually in foster. Foster is near the practice field. And you have to come back early. So if your preference is to be with a roommate that is not in the band, even though you room in together right here and you choose in each other's rooms, you're going to be taken out of that room and put with the band students. That's how that works. There's no other way around it because the band has to come back early. Honors is the same way. Go ahead and just follow the directions of housing. If honors is set aside housing, and if you want to be in honors housing, then we will put you in your space at that time. What happens is a lot of times we don't know who you are, and so we can't go ahead and put you or allow you to choose that space. What ends up happening is that we just put you in that space at a later date.
So the next question, there were multiple questions in the chat. Can you give guidance to people who are concerned about selecting a room and scholarships provided by the university? So I think that they're concerned about if they should go ahead and get a room if they don't know what their scholarship award amount is.
Get your room, make the investment of $150. Anytime you pay an application fee, it's non-refundable, right? And so I would get my room, and then you'll have time to figure out the fees and whether or not you can afford tuition, room and board, and then the fees that tack on. Because what's going to happen is if you don't choose a room and we don't have any more rooms, we're not going to do anything else. There's nothing else to do. Room selection or choosing housing is first come, first serve. And once we've met that threshold of the housing that we're going to provide, that's it.
So next question, which I think there's only one in the chat. So I'll ask the question how it was written. Will junior transfer student have dorms because I'm currently a sophomore student that will be a junior this upcoming fall 2024 year?
Okay. So again, new students to university are lumped together. Oftentimes we may not know how many hours that you have. And so you will be lumped in with all the new students. What you can do is choose a residence hall that you want to stay in. And I would say go ahead and choose that residence hall. We don't guarantee that transfer students, just because you're a junior, that you'll get upper class housing, because upper class housing usually is already full by the time you are able to apply. And so choose a residence hall that you want to stay in. You're on mute.
So once again, more questions about special groups. Is there a residence hall that's designated for any of the special groups? For example, is there a residence hall designated for honors?
Honors, the director of honors or the assistant director of honors will say she may want her folks in a particular residence hall. It don't matter. You choose your room, you do your part. And then wherever they tell you they have room set aside is then where you'll be transferred to. And most likely it's a suite style residence hall. And
Next
so
question.
that's the same for all the special groups. Everyone is going to suggest where they want their students to stay. It's usually a suite style residence hall. I think Angel has lost connection. Can y'all tell me what the next question is in the Q&A? Oh, Angel, we lost connection.
Yeah, sorry. for a
Uh-huh.
moment. So the next question was, multiple questions have come in, so I'm just gonna lump them together. There are a couple people who asked, can a freshman get an off-campus apartment?
No, you won't
And
even see the off-campus apartments.
And then the next question was, so I don't think I asked this
Oh, you know
question.
what? Let me say this. Because that question is loaded. Can a freshman get an off-campus apartment? If the freshman wants to get an apartment on their own and live off campus on their own, I mean, yes, but freshmen do better on campus. Research says it. They do better on campus. If you want to get your personal apartment off campus, yes. If the question is, can a freshman have access to the off-campus apartments that A&M manages? No. You're on mute.
I had another question, which was about similar questions about suite mates. Are only freshmen placed with freshmen?
Yes.
Because I think there was a question about, could someone who's a freshman room with a sophomore?
No.
And then move-in dates.
Unless they're incoming new students. You know, you have students that have enrollment credits and a lot of times not enrollment, but dual enrollment credits, and they may really be a sophomore. But if it's two students that are new to the university, you can room together. But if it's a student that's already here and they're returning students, the housing selection, the selection of residence halls are not the same, so you wouldn't be able to room with each other.
So it's a different person asking the question, so I'm assuming that they still don't understand. So the question is, can first-time freshmen room with transfer students? Can you explain how the university views a transfer student and
Okay.
why they might end up living together?
Okay. A transfer student, a first-time freshman, can room together. They're new to the university. Even though the transfer student, has some credit hours and it may make them a sophomore or whatever, they're new to the university and you're looking at the same pool of rooms. So yes, a transfer student and a freshman can room together because the pool of rooms that you're looking at are the same.
All right, so most of the other questions are in the chat are pretty similar, and it looks like Mr. Hales or Mr. Richardson are answering those questions. It is 12 o'clock. We have two people who have their hand raised. Did you want to address those? Okay.
We can address it.
Okay. So hopefully, Ms. Harrison is available because I'm getting ready to unmute you. I'm not sure if it's a Kamori Harrison.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You answered it already. I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So the next person is Grissette, Kenta Grissette.
Yes, I'm not sure if I missed this, but is ROTC considered a special group?
Yes, it is.
Is that your only question?
Yes. So, do you just apply for housing the same way?
You have to just apply for housing, right? No matter what the coach says, no matter whoever says whatever, you have to apply for housing, choose a room, right? And if ROTC has sent in their rooms ahead of time and said, hey, I want 10 room, I want 10 beds in a certain building, for my incoming ROTC cadets, and I want them to live together. Then what we'll do is once we get that list, we'll get your student's name or your name and move you to that designated area that, that entity has requested. but you still need to apply for housing, still go through that, the process that we talked about, and make sure you have a bed so you can be moved to wherever, their preference is for their cadets.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so the next person is Sanai McBean.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I wanted to ask about how to log into our SSO portal or like the octopus.
I was able to show it. Were you not able to see it earlier?
No, ma'am.
If you go to My AAMU,
Yes.
you go to My AAMU, scroll down a little bit on the website, and you'll see a block that, let me see what it says. It says My AAMU sign in, and you click on that. And that's how you sign in. Now, you're only going to be able to sign in if you've received your email and set up your Octopus authenticator on your phone. Have you done that?
I don't think so.
Okay. So you should have been sent an email to set that up, and that doesn't come from housing.
It comes from octopus.
It comes from the IT department. So what you can do is, if you scroll down on that page a little bit, call the help desk.
Yes, ma'am.
Call the help desk, and then they can send it to you again, and they'll help you with that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Oh, I see the email.
Okay.
You see the email now? Now it may have expired. That's the only thing, Ms. McBean. If it says it's expired, then the 24-hour help desk can send you a new one. Okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Next person is Bryson Jones.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I had a question. So I know like maybe a couple weeks ago you guys had released the video for like the first step of housing. And every time like I try to go in and do it, it's like it keeps like taking me back to the A&M, like the login, like the student. It won't let me do it.
So, Ms. Jones, when we released that video, it was for our returning students.
Oh my God.
Even though the process is the same, we're not gonna, it may not be a two-step process. It's not gonna be a two-step process for our new students, but it is a two-step process for our returning students. Okay? But it
Yes.
still looks the same.
Okay.
Okay? It still looks the same. But that video wasn't for you. It wasn't for the new students. It was for our returning students, okay? But it still will look the same. So you kind of got a tutorial on how to do part of the application. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And you'll be able to access it once you pay your enrollment fee, and it opens on May the 14th. So that's what this webinar was about, to show you where to go to find that information out, so you'll know for yourself. Part of this webinar is to show you guys our website so you can read over everything, and it sticks in your mind, and now you're in the know about what's going on. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
The next person is Konika Moore, I believe.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My question is, if we pay for like a suite style room, and then you guys, I guess for all these other special groups, they come back and say their group want to be in a suite style room, will the person, like the suite style room that was paid for, will that person be moved because of a group?
No.
that
No,
Oh, okay.
we don't do that. we set the rooms aside ahead of time. And so the
Oh, okay.
the pool of rooms that students are choosing, those are your rooms to choose from. We don't bump students. No,
Okay.
we take them out. So say for instance, we have 10 beds. We'll take out 5 beds and put them for the special groups. And the 5 beds that you see are the beds that are available to you.
Okay.
That's
Got
how
it.
it works.
And also my next question is if they don't already have a roommate and they go ahead and pay for a room that's suite style and they, I guess, fill out the questionnaire, at what point will they know who their roommate may be?
They can go back in, they can log back in and they can see who their roommate is.
Okay. And will they provide like any type of contact information just to maybe kind of get to know them or anything by any chance?
There is a screen name and you'll have, so, one or two things will happen. If your student chooses a room, someone could already be in the room and then they'll see their screen name and their email information. Or you may choose a room and no one else is in the room, but you always can go back and log back into the portal and see who the roommate is at a later date.
Okay. And also, do you guys have one last question? Do you guys have like any type of like Instagram page or Facebook page to where there are future Alabama A&M students coming?
We don't.
You don't.
We
Okay.
don't. Where are you from?
Nashville.
Okay. There's probably some groups out there already forming. I would start with admissions may know, and also your alumni association that's in Nashville. Because they'll always know, oh, we have this group of students that's going to A&M.
Okay.
So there's some groups out there,
Okay.
we're not in those groups, those parent groups that are really negative. We don't, we're not in those groups.
Oh, okay.
But then you got your student groups, and a lot of times they'll find each other and have these groups that they set up.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Miller, I'm going to ask one of the questions because it's reappeared multiple times in the chat, and then I'm going to have to jump off. You still have 3 people who have their hand raised. I'm going to ask this final question, and then I have another commitment. So do you have any guidance or recommendations when housing runs out?
I'm always careful about what I say because most students need housing, right? And so if they don't have housing on campus, it's hard for them to matriculate because they can't afford to stay off campus. They can't afford to just go get an apartment off campus. But if we reach our beds, and that's why it's really important for people to apply early, if we reach our beds, that's going to be it. We've allocated enough beds, for students to matriculate on campus and reside on campus. And beds are first come, first serve. It's like that across the country, any university you go to. And so if it's a situation where you can't get a bed, then there's a conversation that needs to be had with the family. So what are we going to do? And I can't tell you what to do. I can tell you what to do, but I can't tell you what to do. Those are decisions that you have to make. You may have to, defer enrollment. I can't tell you to defer enrollment, but that's one, say, for example, defer enrollment. Or have a conversation, with admissions and see what they, recommend for you to do. But once we run out of beds, we run out of beds. Now, sometimes we can, we'll have cancellations. And so a bed may show up a little later. But this is what happens. What will be an issue is that it may show up later on and your student has missed a lot of classes. And that's what you don't want to do. You don't want your student to miss a lot of class. They need to be here day 1, not day 55, because they're not going to be successful. And so there are just some tough decisions that need to be made.
And then I answered one question in the chat, and then I'm going to jump
Okay.
off. There were a couple
Okay.
questions about juniors and seniors staying on campus. Can you talk about the options provided to juniors and seniors and graduate students for off-campus housing?
This is for freshmen. This webinar is for freshmen.
Thank
But
you.
let me say this, because this is not the, I don't want to mix the two because people get confused. And so we will have a conversation with our upperclassmen about A&M managed housing. I will have a conversation with them about the additional housing that we will provide for our upperclassmen students, but not in this forum. This is for our freshmen.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. I have another meeting, so have a great day. Go
Thank you very
Bulldogs.
much, Ms. Lee. Okay. So now I'm driving. Are there any other questions? Okay, Chrisette, let's see.
Yes,
Okay.
I do have one. I have one question. My daughter will return from AIT after how does that work if the move-in date is before she comes back from her military assignment? Can a parent claim her room for her, or?
No, you can't. But what you should do is at some point, once your student applies for housing, there is information on our website, and we'll also email it out. You know, hey, if you don't claim your room within 48 hours, we will cancel it. But if you're arriving late, then you email housing, not me. Email housing at AAMU, because we're going to be expecting those emails, right? And so if you're going to arrive, if she's going to arrive late, you just need to let us know she's arriving late so we won't cancel her assignment.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Are there anyone else that has a question? Let's see if I can find these. Someone has their hand up. I thought
you have about
let's see,
6 hands up right now.
Okay, let's see. Caitlin Hollandquist. I think that's how you pronounce it, Caitlin.
Caitlin,
Okay, what's your question?
I was wondering if summer housing is the same process as fall housing when it opens.
Basically, and it'll open up after fall housing, because our focus really is fall housing for our students. Because if you don't have fall housing, then you know it's a big deal. But the summer housing is a pretty easy process. So we won't do roommate selection in that process, but you will, you know, select your room, pay your application fee, because you're going to have to pay an application fee as a new student. As a returning student, you won't, but as a new student, you will, because that's a new term for you. So the process is basically the same.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, our next person, Zandra Moulton.
Yes, Bulldogs. I put this in
Hello.
the chat, and I'm not sure if you guys saw this, so I wanted to just make it clear. I appreciate you guys. I am an alum, Alabama A&M alum, and this is very informational, and I'm so excited for my baby to be attending A&M in the fall. So I wanted to just say thank you for all of the work that you guys are doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and go Bulldogs, and tell your baby welcome to the Hill.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, DeKayla Ricks. Miss Ricks, are you there? Let's see. I'm going to come back to Miss Ricks. Our next person, I don't want to botch your name. Tell me your name.
Okay, my name is Pivela Nchekube. I'm an international student from Nigeria, and I have tried logging into my SSO, but then they required a username, and I didn't know what username to put in there. So I want to ask what username I'm supposed to input to my SSO when I log into it.
Okay. Can you guys answer that question? Is it a number?
No, it'd be first name dot last name.
Okay. Okay. I tried it, but it didn't go through.
Okay. So we do have a help desk, and I'm going to put the help desk number in the chat, and they will be able to assist you. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much.
You're
And then
welcome.
also, yeah, and also I wanted to ask, if a student gets a presidential scholarship that covers the housing, do they still need to do the housing application and pay the application fee?
Absolutely. Absolutely. See, your presidential scholarship is just a scholarship. Like, it's the best scholarship you can get, but it's only a scholarship. It doesn't, you still got to do your work. You know what I mean? You still got to apply for housing. You still got to do your part, right? And then your scholarship just takes care of your fees, but it doesn't take care of the legwork that you have to do on this campus. Okay?
Sure.
All
Okay,
righty.
understood. Thank you very much. And then finally, I wanted to know whether that presidential scholarship is still open for, let's say, another international student who maybe got another scholarship, like the merit scholarship, but then qualifies for the presidential scholarship.
From what I understand about the scholarships, when the scholarships are handed out, a person couldn't come back and get a presidential scholarship. So that person really has to talk to admissions about that. I'm not an expert on that. And so I would talk to admissions about that. But whatever scholarship that person qualifies for, that's what the admissions, gives out. But they really need to talk to them and get clarity on that, okay?
Sure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm gonna come back to Miss Ricks. Are you still there?
Hello. Yes, I am.
Hello. Your question?
My question was, I was trying to see, what does the $150 fee cover during our housing?
That's your application fee.
For housing?
Yes, that's your application fee. It makes you eligible for your housing. That's what it's for.
And my second question was, is there any solo dorm rooms, or do freshmen have to stay with a roommate?
We have very few rooms that are single rooms, but Council Hall does have single rooms, but it's only about 40 of them. And so they're gonna go fast, okay?
And that opens May 14th when housing does?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Miss Sis Trump, I think that's how you pronounce that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your question?
My question was, do you know what the estimated class size is for freshmen?
Estimated class, the estimated class size?
For the incoming enrollment?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. So you're talking about the entire class? Probably about 2,200 freshmen.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of that number will stay, probably live in the area, and they may not be on campus. So when we have an enrollment size, that those people that are on campus, those individuals that may be online, and those individuals that may be on campus, but then they take classes in person, but they may live off campus. They may live in the area. So that's how that number is calculated. They may not all be living on campus.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised that I haven't. Oh, Kettle. Let's see. Kettle. And if I've already spoken to you, should drop off. So Miss Kettle, let's see. Are you there?
Yes, had to unmute. Sorry about that. So for my daughter who will be an incoming freshman, she won't be able to request a roommate if the roommate will be a sophomore.
So let me ask you a question. Is the roommate a returning student that's a sophomore, or are they a transfer student that has sophomore credit hours?
They would be a returning student.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No, they don't have the same pool of rooms to choose from.
Okay, got you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay. I think that's it. If
You
we don't have any
one
more
more.
one
I
more.
think, do you see Miss Moore? Did you already
I
answer
thought
that
we
question?
talked to Miss Moore. Let's see, Miss Moore, do you have another question? That may be let's see, wait a minute. Miss Moore?
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh, yes.
I just had one quick question. The single rooms, do they come with their own bathroom?
The rooms that's in council, no, they don't.
Oh, okay. It's
It's
just
a
a single
traditional
room.
council hall is a traditional residence hall.
Okay, but the suite share a bathroom, you said, with one other person.
One other person, you share a bathroom. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. That's all I had.
You're welcome. Sierra? Sierra? Okay. I have someone on the phone. Hello? Okay. Let's see. Mr. Hunter. I think it's, wait a minute. William Reynolds. William Reynolds.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
What will they specify double occupancy versus triple occupancy when it's time to select the rooms? And if so, what dorms have that criteria?
So we're not going to have that. This academic year is different from the last academic year. So we will not have triple occupancy this year in Foster Complex. All the rooms will be double occupancy, or if they're a single room, just have one bed in there.
Awesome. Thank you.
But when you look at the rooms, you'll see the number on top of the bed. It'll say either 1 or it may say 2. Okay. So if we can get, if I can get my video uploaded on YouTube, Residential Life has a page, and so I'm gonna try to get that video uploaded. On that video that I did yesterday, or the webinar that I did yesterday, you can actually see it and go through it, and if you have time to review it. Okay. So we'll try to get that posted. You're welcome. Topaz. Pronounce your last name.
Egby.
Okay. They took out phonics. They didn't have phonics when I was growing up, and so those of us that didn't learn phonetically, we can mess up a name. So, what's your question?
Okay, I wanted to ask, what is the cheapest meal plan and the cheapest room plan too?
So we only have one meal plan, and that's 2101. And then the cheapest rooms are going to be our traditional residence halls, and that's going to be $18.95 per semester. So those are the cheaper ones, the traditional halls.
Okay.
Okay.
And then and then the meal plan is how much?
2101. $2,101, and that's per semester.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Taylor Sicklin. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Miss Sicklin. I've seen your name before, so I see you got on.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I just want to clarify, we access the housing application through Octopus, or is there a link?
Yeah, you have to log into your self-service banner, and that's going to be
Okay.
your Octopus. And then the housing application link is under the student tab under your self-service banner.
Okay, and that's in the Octopus app?
It's found on my AAMU page.
Okay.
So when you go to my AAMU and scroll down, and when you get to that page and you scroll down just a little bit, you're going to see a little block that says my AAMU sign in. And when you click on that block, it takes you to your self-service portal.
Okay.
And then off on the left-hand side, you'll see self-service banner. When you click on self-service banner, you'll have some additional information and some tabs. And up at the top, it says student tab. And you'll click on that student tab and you'll see the housing link in that area.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Roberts?
Hi, it's Robertson. How you doing?
I'm sorry. Your name was cut off. I apologize, Ms. Robertson.
That's okay. Thank you so much for this webinar. You have really answered a lot of the questions that I have been thinking, but I do want to piggyback on the meal plan. I know you said it's a mandatory meal plan. Now, can you elaborate on exactly what this entails? Will my child have 3 meals a day? Will he have unlimited meals a day? Can you just go elaborate a little?
Yes, ma'am. So it's 3 meals a day, but it's unlimited. So for instance, if he goes in the cafeteria and he gets in the line and he gets something to eat, he eats, he can go back to the line and get some more food.
Okay.
So that's unlimited. Now, a lot of times, they don't have time to do that because they may have to run and go to class, but he can get in the line however many times he wants to because it is unlimited. Okay. And so breakfast, lunch, and dinner is served.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner is served. No
yes,
buffet.
ma'am. No, okay. What now?
Buffet. There's no like when he just go up to the counter. When you say it's served,
they serve. They'll fix his plate. Just not like a buffet.
Okay.
It's like a cafeteria. They fix your food.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's cafeteria.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then there's a salad bar. They can make waffles.
Oh, wow.
And I posted the link for dining services in the chat, just so you can review those details as far as Bulldog books and what all that, pays for.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. I think that's all our questions. If anybody else has, if we don't have any more questions, then we're going to end our webinar. We still have 58 people on, but I just want to thank you for sharing your time with me and allowing me to have a conversation with you about, what to expect. And I hope to connect with you again later on this summer with another, webinar and talking about what to expect in the residence hall. So I thank you very much. Welcome to the Hill and go Bulldogs.